Right. Cloud replication equals offline awesome. I will tell you now, I didn't invent this title, my boss did. Because he said hitting the couch wasn't cool enough. Because it didn't contain the word awesome. But hey. This is necessary because I work for a big corporate and we have terms and conditions for everything. And it's really, really weird sat here doing this. I'm used to standing up and waving around and So, who am I? That's me. Well, that's me. That's me. I'm Mike Elsmore. I'm developer advocate for Cloudant at IBM. That's me at the bottom. UK Mad Els. Tweet me everything you want or anything. Please keep it clean. I work for these guys, IBM. Anybody heard of IBM? Anybody heard of that? It's Cloudant. So it looks like a sushi roll for some apparent reason, like 3 Mackies that have been squished together. I don't get why. It doesn't represent anything, but yeah. So this talk is all about these 4 technologies. HTML5, JS, that little weird one that looks like some form of animal is PouchDB and CouchDB because that's what Cloudant's built on and that's what I have to learn all the time. So a brief history of offline storage is a sad, sad story. You can get it all there. Dive into HTML5 pretty much has everything. So hands up, who here is a web dev? Who here is not? Yeah, you're going to learn some stuff for once. Local storage was the first one to come around. That is essentially just key value pairing, and it's ridiculously powerful, and it's still used a lot by a lot of developers just because of how simple it is to implement. That is 3 lines of JavaScript doing all the work. You can't really go wrong with a key value set unless you clear your cache and still rely on it. But hey. And it's still used by a lot of applications now. There is a lot of it still in Google DevTools, just sat around working. And that means, 5 years of continuous enhancement and it's still not been killed. It's got to work. Next up came this thing, SQLite. Anyone here had to deal with SQLite, either the horrible XML format version you leave on a server or in the browser? It's hell. It never does what you want it to do. The supposed SQL queries you give it don't kind of work. Stick them inside of MS SQL. Yay, it works. Stick it inside of SQLite. Fine, thanks. Have I actually I formatted that so it fits all on one page. Last time I did this, I had to scroll along to show you all the attributes because I was stupid and gave it properly random names, including GUIDs. Sorry. But yeah, SQLite is horrible. But because of it, we have new technologies, newish technologies such as WebSQL and indexed DB, which sit as an abstraction layer on top. So you can actually execute pretty high-level SQL queries on top of it, and it's quite stable. So much so that it's part of Mozilla's core product list, which is, pretty cool. And that led on to the future. Future being the kangaroo ear thing, which I have no idea. Kangaroo pouch. It's just twigged. I've been using this thing for the last 12 months and it's only just twigged what the actual logo means. Sorry, yeah. Apologies. PouchDB, which it sits on top of all of the browser-based implementations of SQL and implements a CouchDB-like interface. So it works like CouchDB in your browser. Even better, if you use... Anyone here play with Node? People play with it, that's a good thing. New technologies. Node is the only real language. I lie when I say that. Badly. Node is not the only real language. It also installs and runs locally as a native database service inside your application using something called LevelDB, which means what you have in the front end, what you have in the back end will have identical APIs and non-breaking, which is a flipping miracle. Managed to not swear there. Yes. But the amazing thing about that is we can have the plan. Oh, I may have forgot to remove that line. Plan now is for me, in 15 minutes, without making too many mistakes, to write a basic to-do list app in front of you, so you can see how powerful these technologies are. Primarily, we're going to get using HTML5 storage, connecting to it via JavaScript, using the abstracted layer of PouchDB, create a to-do list, which will replicate out and store itself inside of Cloudant, which is a CouchDB service. Well, CouchDB as a service, because that's where I work. And yeah, that's what you're here to learn about. And essentially, that should mean we get a nice little front-end app, which is offline first, which I can disconnect from the Wi-Fi, create stuff, reconnect to the Wi-Fi, and it'll send it all over to Couch and store it there. So you can share it with other applications, etc., etc. I may be using PouchDB now because I'm a web dev, and that's all I kind of know, which is really quite bad. But this will work inside packaged apps such as Cordova, and it will also work natively inside of Android, iOS, and another company called Couchbase has written an implementation for Xamarin. So if you do Xamarin-based apps, careful, you can do it in there as well, and it will all work the same, in theory. This is all in theory because I've got to type all this out without making any mistakes. The code. I hate this bit. Right. That looks awful. Mainly because I wrote this morning when I realized, oh nuts, I'd forgotten to write the demo in the week. Thought about the slides, wrote it all down. Ha! Nuts. So this is just a bootstrap thing. It's kind of horrible. And the coder for it is that, because I'm lazy and Bootstrap gives you that in the templates. But the bit we actually give a damn about is down here. We start the application. Yep, okay. There is nothing in the database. We're going to do some basic CRUD commands. We've also got this thing so that the moment I start changing stuff, you actually see it happening rather than me going, yeah, honest, it's saving stuff. But this is just listening to something called who here has actually heard of Couch? Okay, anyone here done stuff with NoSQL to begin with? So I'm guessing that's Mongo? Yeah. All right, no worries. I don't feel bad for you yet. But, all right, CouchDB, NoSQL, master replication, and more importantly, it's a HTTP layer, so everybody can communicate to it with curl and with requests. The really great thing here is anybody who's dealt with NoSQL should be used to dealing with stuff called deltas feeds. So long polling or WebSocket-based feeds, so you can see what happens in the database as it's happening externally in your own application without having to poll it, which is great. So all I did here was pre-rolled a bit of that, which we have, it's called the changes feed, so that when we start making changes, it immediately starts implementing. Anyone understand what that code says? Do I need to explain it? Okay. All it's going is, in the database, is there a change? Yay or nay? If there is a change, read all the documents, go through each of the documents, create a list of those documents, dump them in the DOM. Happy? Happy. Right. Let's create a document. So we're going to have our to-do form. Bloody smartwatch is telling me I've got to do stuff, like talk to people. It's late. We're going to tell this to save. I'm alive, honest. To save our document. So pretty much whenever you write this in JavaScript, yes, it's in JavaScript, don't hate me. It's doc. We're going to call it content because oddly enough, I call this stuff to do content. So we're going to submit the form, grab it, grab this, actually nuts to that. Why am I bothering to do that? To do content. I'm now really worried I've made a typo. Have I made? No, I haven't made a typo. This is just basic create, which means we can be really lazy and use that function because all this does is it forms a post-based wrapper and just sends a post request to the local service. creating the document because it follows a RESTful-like structure. So post create, get pull, put update, delete, delete. Yeah. Unless you use patch, at which point then that changes. Never mind. I hate HTTP semantics because everybody has a different opinion about which one's correct. But yeah, so we do this. We restart this. We go, hello, everyone. Submit. This is the bit I hate. Live coding, because everything goes wrong. Why you no work? Form. To do form. Form on submit. On submit. Oh, you know what? Should really implement this great thing they invented years ago called error checking and actually see if we have anything. Or am I just being a giant Egypt? No, something is genuinely broken. Anyone else see it? Because I can't. Da 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 da. Let's at least make sure it stops that. Just realised what I was doing. Sorry. Right, so we have created a document. This is really, really janky and should never be done like this because CouchDB, and thus PouchDB, has this concept of revision keys to track what is the latest piece of information available. Just doing a post, if that item already exists and you post it with the same ID, you will create conflict because it will just go, spaff, and suddenly there'll be extra data and it'll go, nobody's checked if this already exists. We'll just create another one and another one and another. Yeah, eventually there's this wonderful thing with CouchDB where you can take your entire cluster up by editing the same document thousands of times in the same second because it'll just go bang and will fall over because you've run out of disk space, which I would not recommend because I did this on this Mac before and possibly may have killed it by it taking over all of my memory at once. That wasn't smart. Then really, really don't suggest doing that. Right, so we have created a document. This is just in the browser at the moment. So, CRUD functions. We read it and we delete it because it's a to-do list. So when we're done, we want to get rid of it. But first, we want to be able to read it and tell it what it is. So, next bit, this .atr data ID. As before, we're ignoring revision control here because that takes way too long and cannot be done in 15 minutes. If anybody can do this in 15 minutes, I will pay you money because that will be worth a lot of money to everyone else. It's never going to happen. I'm going to still have some money, thank God. Right, I'm just going to actually be sensible and make sure I can actually retrieve the doc ID. Yay, doc ID. So, db dot, because this whole thing follows the standard RESTful process, we can just throw it in, get a function which returns error, and data. Let's call it data for once, rather than something else, because I usually call it result. We're going to ditch that. And we're going to repopulate the form. So, can't. Anyone else do that when they make a mistake? They go back and just delete the whole line, or they actually click into the right space? Because one of these days I'm actually going to not just delete the whole line and thus look like a complete and utter idiot. I bet you this isn't going to work, mainly because I've forgotten to do that. And I also, so we can track where we are, want to provide the form with the doc ID. Because you know it would be great, being able to keep an eye on where you are. Because obviously, if you're going to be doing something like live coding, you want to know what you're handling. Because if you don't, you're going to look like an idiot. Hi, I'm an idiot. Actually, just to save myself some pain later, well, let's just add some error reporting. Right. Click Hello. Oh, I knew I'd make a mistake. Because I've completely forgotten what format it saves it in, even though I was making an app for this yesterday. Not this, but didn't need the doc ID. Right. Hello! Because that's not racist or stupid or anything like that either. Right, so we can create, we can read. We're now going to delete because, well, why not? On, click. Actually, due to the fact that I have been silly and for some odd reason made the done thing a checkbox, let's do it on change. Var doc ID is equal to yeah, let's not bother actually adding some checks. Let's just assume that whoever is doing this knows what they're doing and has applied the attributes at all correct points. Because that would be nice. And I obviously haven't made any mistakes so far in this live demo of badly made code. Hi, bye. Hello. Done. That's meant to have done something. Let's check the HTML. To do, done. Anyone else see the major gaffe I'm making that I can't see because I'm mildly worried that I'm making an absolute and utter tit of myself in front of enough people to actually make me scared of being run over? Reference BBT. Yes.
Idea said to do delete.
Pardon?
To do done. Should be the to do done. Idea.
Good point. Thank you. Because I didn't actually bother to reread the DOM before I did this. Yeah, thanks. It's great when you're the person demoing it out and you have to ask the crowd to fix your own errors because you're worried that you're going to run out of time before you can actually see it for yourself. Let's be really, really lazy about this. Yeah, I know. Because it's HTTP based. They've oddly enough got one called delete. So we throw the doc in there because we want, you know what, we're going to do var doc equal empty because we don't want people knowing what we've done previously, even though CouchDB has the policy of never deleting anything. And when I say never deleting anything, I mean it doesn't delete a thing. Seriously, you actually have to go through and cause a replication from one database to another to get rid of all the old deletes. So if you accidentally delete something, CouchDB is probably the safest place to delete anything, ever. Actually, this is really bad practice. Let's do it the other way, which is db.get by docid function error data. Actually, let's rename that to doc so I can do it the easy and lazier version, which is delete doc function error console.log error. Because I'm going to put money on the fact that this is going to fall on its ass first time. If it doesn't, I'm going to stand up and cheer. And it'll be hilarious. Yes, it didn't fail. No, it did fail. DB delete. It's delete. I tell you it's delete. It's delete. I tell you. Oh, no, it's not. It's the one bit of it that's breaking from the HTTP schema. That's it. Ah, see, it's gone through the list. We've deleted it. Yay, we've just achieved create, read, and delete. Anyone care about learning how to do an update? Yeah, let's do it. I've got like 3 minutes left to do that just bit. And then we've got to actually sync this thing up. Right, so read. That is nasty because post means you can only ever create it and it always, always, always falls over. Like, no kidding, always. So we do, actually, yeah, let's go with that. If you do this dot attr data ID dot length greater than 0, we will do, I hate this. Have you ever had that feeling when you know you're writing really, really, really bad code and yet you're still writing it and you're hating yourself eternally for it? Actually, can make it slightly better. I really shouldn't give a damn about cleaning my code up slightly whilst I'm doing it, but for some odd reason it's really bugging me if I don't. db.put. Then we're going to go the doc. And then we're going to go and put the doc ID. And this, in theory, as with all things we've seen in the last 15 minutes, is all theory. Who here is actually learning anything from my random spasmodic typing? Anybody? No hands up? No yes? Yay, people are learning! That's great! Because, pardon? Remove the length, remove the length. No, I need. Ah, good point. Yeah, I need to do that there. Thank you, because I would have spent another 5 minutes going, why can I not see this error? Obviously, I never write error code. Yeah, I can't even lie with a straight face on that one. I'm sorry. Any developer that says they can write error-free code first time, I swear you are lying. I will happily say you are lying. Right, so we need to create a new one. This is number... no, because somebody reminded me of something earlier. If nobody gets that reference, you're either too young or have missed something amazing. No. Austin Powers.
I'm too old.
And he works for you. Now let's see if this works. I'm going to be sensible. I'm going to put the console on first. Oh, conflict. Which means, unfortunately, if I do that... Yeah, this whole thing I pointed out earlier, that there's conflict management. Yeah, you need to manage it yourself. So, db.get doc ID. Oh, this is so janky having to do it like this. And I have, pretty much nearly run out of time. Let's do it this way, because this way's cool. This way's never going to fail. Ever. Please, mummy, don't fail. And then we're going to do data dot rev. You know, we haven't even got to the replication, making it awesome bit, because I keep making so many mistakes. I'm sorry. I'm starting to sound like James McAvoy in Wanted. I'm sorry. How can you have a conflict? I gave you the Did I give you the ID? Yeah, I forgot that. And how many times have people spent their days doing this just over and over again in the cycle of over and over again? Yay! We've created, we've read, we've updated, we've deleted, everything is offline. Unfortunately, I've just realized I've done this in an incognito browser, which means if I close this and open it up, it's going to disappear. So let's do this the other way round. Hello. Submit. It's there! It's offline! See, I could prove it could be done. Right. The important bit here is the fact that what's the point in having a bunch of offline data? You've got to get it somewhere. And I don't have a CouchDB service running anywhere. Oh, wait, I do. I work for them. You know what? That's a horrible resolution. Oh! Right, normally you go to sign up and create the details, etc. And it's like 6 or 7 fields and is, yeah. But I'm really lazy, so let's go with, I'm just going to log into one I made earlier, which is going to be full of all the names that just say test and another database, an example, over and over again. Oh wait, another DB, another test DB. Right. This is DevWeek 2015. Now, great. We're going to set the permissions so that everyone can mess around with it because I don't care. Not right now anyway. And we're going to generate API keys because we're going to need those in a minute. And literally all we're going to do now is here, I even left a little holder for me. We're going to do pouchdb db.sync. We're going to do, actually no, it is definitely pouchdb because it tells me above it because I was sensible enough to give myself clues. It's like magic. Maybe one day I'll actually be able to do magic. Huzzah, code. To do. And then HTTP, and yet actually it's HTTPS because nobody writes an insecure API on HTTP, right? It's all HTTPS, correct? Who here has written an API on HTTP in production? Good, that's what I was wanting. Right, but we don't use any proper form of auth key. Well, no, we do use a proper form of auth key. We just use basic auth because, well, that's what Couch uses. So if Couch uses it, obviously it's good enough for us. And I called it DW 2015. And in 30 seconds, we're going to have offline stuff. Hello. And now if I we should have, if I go back a bit, spinners, what everybody wants to see all the time. Yay, we have documents, even though it's really hard to read because it's so tiny a screen. But in here, who does number 2 work for? Yay, we have just gone offline, everybody. Anybody, you know what, that's the end. Right, anyone get questions about how that actually works or didn't understand the code? Because you've got like 1 minute and a bit to ask anything. Anyone curious about how that actually works? Because to me it looks like black magic in really, really bad JavaScript. Is that essentially the clue for everybody that it's black magic in really bad JavaScript? Right, I've done magic, yes! Exactly half an hour. Sweet. Right, I'm going to be sensible and nice first. That slide contains who I am. find me on Twitter, because in about 15 minutes, I'm going to put that horrible to-do list code up, including all the resources for PouchDB, CouchDB, and all the relevant materials, so that everything I just said, you can learn what the magic is rather than listening to somebody babble on about it. Okay? Cool. Huzzah, done. Anyone want to ask any questions whilst we're out there? Because I think I'm getting kicked off. Right. Cloud replication equals offline awesome. I will tell you now, I didn't invent this title, my boss did. Because he said hitting the couch wasn't cool enough. Because it didn't contain the word awesome. But hey. This is necessary because I work for a big corporate. And we have terms and conditions for everything. And it's really, really weird sat here doing this. I'm used to standing up and waving around and So, who am I? That's me. Well, that's me. That's me. My girl, 5JS. That little weird one that looks like some form of animal is PouchDB and CouchDB, because that's what Cloudant's built on, and that's what I have to learn all the time. So, a brief history of offline storage is a sad, sad story. You can get it all there. Dive into HTML5 pretty much has everything. So, hands up, who here is a web dev? Who here is not? Yeah, you're going to learn some stuff for once. Local, I'm developer advocate for Cloudant at IBM. That's me at the bottom. UK Mad Els. Tweet me everything you want or anything. Please keep it clean. I work for these guys, IBM. Anybody heard of IBM? Anybody heard of that? It's Cloudant. So it looks like a sushi roll for some apparent reason, like 3 Mackies that have been squished together. I don't get why. It doesn't represent anything, but yeah. So this talk is all about these 4 technologies. HTML for work. Next up came this thing, SQLite. Anyone here had to deal with SQLite, either the horrible XML format version you leave on a server or in the browser? It's hell. It never does what you want it to do. The supposed SQL queries you give it don't kind of work. Stick them inside of MS SQL. Yay, it works. Stick it inside of SQLite. Fine, thanks. Have I actually I formatted that so it fits all on one page. Last time I did this, I had to scroll along to show you all the attributes. Storage was the first one to come around. That is essentially just key value pairing, and it's ridiculously powerful, and it's still used a lot by a lot of developers just because of how simple it is to implement. That is 3 lines of JavaScript doing all the work. You can't really go wrong with a key value set unless you clear your cache and still rely on it. But hey. And it's still used by a lot of applications now. There is a lot of it still in Google DevTools, just sat around working. And that means, 5 years of continuous enhancement and it's still not been killed.